Hi everyone, welcome to Watercolor Wednesday. I am Bonnie Krebs, creator of Watercolor the Art Impressions Way, and this week is another new project. This is one of our newest releases, and this is from the swing set. So this one is new for July, and so we're going to continue on with this. I'm going to spend a couple of weeks on this one because there's so many options that you can do. We're going to do the large swing in this video, and because we're getting close to fall, I thought I would make it kind of a fall theme. So super fun. So we're going to need a few things besides the swing set, and that is this little branch from the desert set. So this is a new one too. And I love this little sticky branch. So we're going to use that. In the foliage set 4, we're going to use one of these little vines. Either one is going to work. And then these little accent grasses here, we're going to use those. And then in the branch set, this little guy right here. And then in our flower sets, this is the basic flower set, the little filler flower, the daisy bunch, we're going to use that one. And that is all it takes. And you know, with these, you can use the vines and the flowers that you have. So feel free to mix it up and use your own imagination. And you know, coloring really changes everything. So if you want to make it fall themed, use more yellows and reds and oranges, and you'll be amazed at how that changes everything out. Okay, so we're going to start out with the basic image, and that is the swing set. And we're going to color it in 2 colors. That would be the dark blue, 565, and the dark brown, 969. And we are going to start with the blue. And I'm just using the side of my marker, and I'm just going to ink this all up like this. And cover this all with the dark blue. And then I'm going to go right back over it again with the dark brown. So 2 colors right on top of each other, just like this. And then I'm going to stamp it off because I don't want too much color on here, and I've got quite a lot of ink on this, so I'm going to stamp it off. And you can see I'm pressing pretty hard, so I'm getting the majority of that color off. I just want it to be light in the background. And now I'm going to just carefully stamp that onto my watercolor paper so it's light. I still have that mix of color, but I have a really light image. So when I go to stamp over it and add these flowers and foliages and branches in the background, I'm not fighting with these lines so much. Okay, so let's start out now by pulling the color out of the lines. And I'm going to wait to do some of this until later. So if you look back at the original again, you can see these dark areas here. I'm going to wait to put those in until I put the flowers and the foliage in. It's going to be a lot easier, and actually you're not fighting with these lines and all this extra color if you wait to do that. And I'll show you what I mean. So let's just pull out a little of this color from the swing. And if you look at this closely, you can see that this is a cushion back here. Now you can do this multiple ways. You can make this a wood back also. In this video, I'm going to do this as a cushion. So that means it's got a contour. So we want to make sure that that center is lighter. And so we're pulling these colors out. And when you put color along the side like this, you're sort of popping this out. And you can see that that's what's happening when I add water to it. The same down here. So these individual cushions also have a contour. So that means they're lighter on top. And if you color that in solid, you're going to kind of lose that. So it's really, really important to make sure you don't color this all in solid. Either one of these. You don't want to color these all in solid. So work our way down here. Now under this, you can see this line here. This is a little bit of an overhang, so this is going to be darker. And then on the side, of course, this is going to be darker over here. And just kind of follow these lines along here. And we're just starting, so we don't have to do a lot yet. Okay, let's go ahead and go on now to our little branches and flowers in the background. And I'm going to start out with that little branch, so this little guy right here, and I'm going to ink it in a green. So this is an olive green. This is more of a yellow green, so more for fall. And you can use any green, but pick one that's, you know, more of a warm color, like this one. And then I'm just going to add a few out here. You know, there's really no right and wrong way to do this. You just tap in a few and you're good to go. Put a couple up here. And that's about all we need. So now before I add any water or anything to that, I'm gonna add the flowers. And I'm gonna do that because I wanna kind of mix these colors up. And the reason I picked yellow too is because I want to drag that into the sky. So again, let me show you the original. And you can see how this yellow in the background kind of creates that fall look. So that's why I'm doing this in these areas. So let me show you what I mean. So I'm gonna take this little daisy now, and I'm just gonna ink this up with the yellow. Now this is a 993. And I'm just gonna stamp this in the background. And another one up here. I'm gonna put one right here. And then I think maybe down here. And I'm using quite a bit of yellow because, like I said, I want to put this drag this out into the background. And I think this works great for that. Okay, so now I'm just gonna kind of clean that off a little bit. This is how I do it, but you can do it with a baby wipe. And we're gonna ink that now with the red. So, and remember with these little stamps, you can ink as much as you want. So if you want a small little bloom, just ink part of it. And then you can kind of change out the size. I'm gonna just put one in here and maybe one up in here. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and add my foliage in here too. So I've got 4 different colors going in here. So I've got the little branches, the 2 colors of the flowers, and now I'm adding the vine in. And I'm just gonna use a green, so more of a, it's not really a yellow green, it's more of a warm green. So this is a 249, but you can use, you know, like I said, you can use any green that you want. And I'm just doing a little bit of this because obviously this is more for fall. So we don't want too much green in here. Obviously the leaves are falling, and so we don't want to see too much of that going on. So just a little bit. Gonna ink this up again and add a few more out here. And a couple more here. Just a little bit. Don't overdo it with these. Just enough to get a little color in here. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, we are ready to add some water now to this and start out with the lightest colors. And that, of course, would be the yellow. So start out with this, and remember, you're just dabbing. So we're not painting anything. We're just kind of dabbing and kind of dragging this color around. And that's the thing about watercolor paper is, you know, we can just spread this color like that. And I'm just kind of dragging it into the background. And you can see that this green now is going to kind of blend in and give us a really nice mix of color. I just love how this looks. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and go on now to the green. So the little foliage, and I'm just jumping my brush around. And I'm kind of hitting these little branches too, because I wanna see this mix of green. And really, you know, hit these areas where you see these lines. You know, if you don't wanna fight with the lines of this little swing, just keep jumping your brush around, and a lot of times those lines will just kind of disappear. Work our way down here and under here. I just love how this just gets really soft, and I just like the whimsical look, so I tend to just keep blending and blending things, but it's just kind of a, just such a soft look. And I'm pulling some of this color out now from the swing and just kind of blending it out. Okay, so now we're ready to hit the red. And again, we're gonna just keep dragging this color out. You can see how that just kind of becomes part of the sky in the background. Just keep pulling it out. And you can see I'm not doing any brush strokes. I'm just kind of jumping my brush around and softening the lines. So cute. And you can always come back in now, and if you decide you need a little more color somewhere, you want to add a little more foliage in or soften something, you can come back and do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on. So now you can see here we've got a lot of color in this area. So now we're going to come back in here and pull this color out on the sides here. And just where there's, you know, obviously where there's not a lot of color. Don't be afraid to pull this color out to the center, you know, from the swing. Okay, that looks good. So let's go ahead and move on now to the swing. And I'm going to add some color now to it. I've got a little bit of a gray background here, and you can change this out too and add a different color background in here. But I've taken that warm green now, so that olive green, and I'm just gonna put a little detail on here. So remember, this is rounded, this little cushion back here. So you wanna have a bend. If you're going to do a detail like this, you wanna make sure you put a bend in it so that it's not flat. So just kind of make a bend like that. And the same over here, continue this line and make a bend as it comes down. So important to do that. It's such a little thing, but it makes such a difference. And then continue that line down. And don't worry that the spacing is perfect and everything is perfect. Honestly, it doesn't. It really doesn't matter. Okay, that's about all we have to do on that. And let's add some color now to the swing. And I'm gonna do that with the warm brown. So this is, I'll tell you what color this is. This is number 947. And I'm picking all these warm colors because, like I said, I'm trying to go for more of a fall theme here. And just brush this color in. The more, you know, if you like a really dark, intense color, just make another pass. Let it dry and then go back over it again. And you'll get a darker color. So the tops of these little arms, remember you're doing everything in its own section. So when you're coloring, you're not dragging your brush over any horizontal or vertical lines. You're staying in these little sections, every section separate. And I do it, and I don't necessarily say it every time, but it's really, really important that you do that. And the tops of your image, you want to leave that little highlight on there. Even if the area is small, it's really, really important to do that. Down under here, and you can see I'm staying in each section, each one. And I think I'm gonna go back over it again, just a little darker. And you can make this chair whatever color you want. It's so fun. Just changing the color palette, it's amazing how it changes your whole image. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. And I'm going to take my fine tip now. So I'm gonna take the fine tip of my marker. This is a Tombow. And I'm just gonna darken this little area here. You can see that little detail. And then inside here where we're going to attach the ropes. And then under here, just to make sure that this is really dark under this cushion, you can see how that really pops that out. And I'm gonna do it over here too. So where you think a corner is, you know, this little detail in here, I'm gonna come in and just really darken that too. And you can see that that really pops things out. So don't be afraid to try that. Okay, that looks good. And I'm gonna add a little detail now to my flowers. So I'm gonna use my yellow and the fine tip, and I'm just gonna add some little dots in here. I think this just adds a lot, changes your whole look. And sometimes the simplest little things are the best, I think. Okay, so let's make our way down, and we're gonna do the bottom now. So I'm gonna take some of this brown and just brush in the bottom of this little swing. And just using this brown, water it down really good, and just brush it in, just like this. Don't stress out about it, just put it in. Like so. And then let's add some detail now on the side. So I'm going to use that little branch, this one, and I'm going to use that same green again. And just damp this in here a couple of times. Little dried shrub. So cute. And then I think I'm going to add some grasses in here. Maybe I'll use a different green. Maybe I'll use a little green. Still got a little green going on here. That looks good. And I'm going to just add a little water to it. So you don't need to do much, especially when they're sort of accents like this. I like to see those sharp lines. But we can add and soften it up just a little bit. And I'm going to just clean off my the little daisy bunch. And I don't know if you've ever tried this, but this is really fun. Just to ink one bloom. So I'm just going to ink this little one right here. Just this one little guy. And just tap it in here. Just a couple little blooms. So it kind of looks like it's losing its blooms, but there's a couple left still on the plant. And then we just have to add just a tiny bit of water to it. Just a little bit. And that looks pretty good. I think I will add a little red center to that. And you can do the same up in here too. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm just going to add a shadow now here, down to the bottom. Just a little bit of blue. And just brush in a little bit of blue to the bottom. And if you want to, you can add some now to the shadow in here. This is a little white frame. So you can add some of this blue in here too. It's always good to add some shadows and just kind of mess it up a little bit so it doesn't look too white. And then let's go ahead and do the last step. Well, actually, let's do a little bit more. Let's add some of this detail in here. So these little grasses. This kind of adds a lot too. Kind of like doing this. Just putting in a little bit of this detail in the background. Maybe just a little bit up here as well. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. So now all we have to do is attach our little bench to our swing, and that is so easy to do. So the first thing we want to do is take a ruler and a pencil. I do a lot with pencil, and mostly because I can easily erase it, so if I make a mistake. So I'm just going to draw a straight line from this little hook to the top with my ruler. Just like that. And then I'm going to draw a straight line from here to about the center, like this. And the same over here. That looks pretty good. And we have got our little chair done. And the last thing is to sign and date. And this little painting is finished. I hope you liked this project. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. And follow me on Instagram. I've got more watercolor on there, bonniekrebs.biblejournaling, and you'll be inspired even more. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you all next week.